Okay, dear colleagues, hello and welcome to the first webinar in the Connecting Women Writers with Digital Tools series, organized by the new Daraya Working Group and the Women Writers in History CIPUS network. The series was conceived by Professor Dr. Amelia Sanz, who co-organized it with me, Katja Mihulko. New Daraya Working Group focuses on the circulation of women's writing in order to understand how and what ideas and books were embedded in the cultural field by women writers, and to demonstrate, measure and analyze the contribution of women writers to European social discourses, Western epistemology and Western thought. We are interested in how women as cultural mediators have made connections between European cultures that can be presented in innovative ways thanks to the power of digital tools. This work contributes to rethinking the literary canon from a feminist and transnational perspective. All of these complex issues will be discussed in our monthly webinars. We are very pleased that the speakers of the first webinar are from the University Alexandru Ioan Cuza in Iași, a partner of the CIPUS network mentioned before. So let me introduce our speakers. First, Lucretia Pascariu, who is a PhD student at this university, so Alexandru Ioan Cuza University, working on a dissertation on the final novel in the 19th century Romanian literature. She is a member of the Digital Humanities Lab and the following project groups: Poplight, Hiero, ELTec Rom, and Women Writers in History, the CIPUS network I mentioned before. Her main areas of interest are cultural studies and digital literary studies. She has published articles on the structure and function of the novel in the Romanian literary tradition and is one of the main contributors to the RomanianELTec Collection, which she will present soon in her talk. Our second speaker is Tiberiu Badelita, who is an undergraduate student at the same university, but at the Faculty of Computer Science. He has participated 3 times in the National Computer Science Competition, winning a gold medal in the 10th grade. Today, he is a member of the Digital Humanities Laboratory and a volunteer of the Poplight project. His main interests are the technologies, web, cloud, and natural language processing for low-resource languages such as Romanian. So today, Lucretia and Tiberiu will give a talk entitled, as you see, Representing Women in the RomanianELTec Collection, Occupation, Status, Role and Origin. And Lucretia and Tiberiu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Katja. We are pleased to be here today to present you how women are represented basically in the RomanianELTec Collection by occupation, status, roles, and origin. So this is outlined. At the beginning of the presentation, we started with some research questions and to ask ourselves what we will do with them, what we'll do with those dictionaries that we created. But before we start, we should say that we started to investigate the representations of women by occupation, status, and role, because the women of the long 19th century are in general projected in their own intimacy. But we want to shift the perspective. Our presentation has as aim to shift the perspective on femininity in the public space. They are more involved in the public space. And as you will see in the presentation, we will look into the description of methodology and data set, the issue of coding that Tiberiu will present to you, and the results that we get at the end. So the questions are looking more likely to see which of the 4 categories, occupation, status, role, and origins, are more frequent in the collection, and also in comparatively in the novel authored by female and male. Also, we want to see how diverse are those four categories, both in the ELTec collection and in the novels authored by female. And the last question is looking more into the trends that each author by the ELTec time slots evolution, like we have 4 period time slots, to see if they are using certain occupation, status, roles, or origins. So before we should describe our data set and try to respond to the first question. So ELTec Rom contains 100 texts with this amount of tokens, nouns, lemmas, and unique nouns, lemmas. So each, we extracted at the beginning and annotated 2.02% of the total noun lemmas, and try to categorize them by 4 labels. The labels we mentioned in the beginning, so we will define them right now. We have occupation, well, what women earn, gain something in exchange of their work. We talk here about servant, their teacher, or maybe witch. Role, women fulfill a role that has relational connotations, namely they are related to other individuals like mother, friend, confessor, or widow. Status, we talk here about the woman's position in social hierarchy, like queen, peasant, lady. Origin, which indicates the social and cultural background of the woman. We have here German, Gypsy, and Jewish, for some examples. And the last category, what cannot be categorized as occupation, role, and status, or maybe origin, it was labeled in this category, was pushed in this category. So these are the definitions of the annotation category that we choose to use. But before we had to extract and clean the data, so we started from using up on a small and insignificant linguistic device. Well, we thought that the suffix showing agent and agency for women's occupation are more productive. That's why we used for kitchen, like we have the cook, and then the cook like a woman, or also the Englishman as Englezoi, so the agent suffix transforms from that we have Englishman, English woman, but we add the suffix, or maybe from a cook, bucătar, we have the cook like woman, bucătăreasă, this is the suffix. So at the beginning, we extracted all feminine nouns having suffixes or termination agency. So our extraction was based in 3 phases: the experimental one, the complementary one, and case ending, those with densenesses like for feminine and genitive and dative. The first challenge was a little bit difficult because in Romania, neuter nouns have the plural the same with the plural of the feminine nouns. Thus, the automatic tagging with UDPipe from level 2 from ELTec was not reliable because it also labels neuter nouns. For example, we have in Romanian scaun, which is chair, is what one scaun, două scaune is more likely to be neutral, but we need to check this part. It was like we try to correct the error that UDPipe gave to us. So Tiberiu will explain to you step by steps how he did this. Then we extracted the derived nouns with feminine agent suffixes like oare, iță, oară, casă, încă, those from this per novel. And we have basically 3 sets. The first column is more like for agent suffixes. The second one was for desinents with definite and indefinite articles before the end. And the third one was the plural for dative and genitive forms. We consider them because they're more productive. So, but we also, when we start to clean the lemma, we discovered that new words were coming up upon us. So we checked and correct manual dilemmas of other words and identified the root of the derived nouns. So we have here for girl, we were encountering those 2 variants, fetișoară and fetiță for fat, like girls, and for sister the same variants, surioară, sorioară, and soră. So we decided to use the same lemma for soră. But then we realized that there are occupations, statuses, and role that are not indicated with this kind of lexical device with derived nouns. So we made a list of words based on dictionary to be extracted. And we choose to add, like, we have more representation, for example, in this dictionary, more representations of wife. So we have soție, socie, nevastă, tovarășă, and mujer. There are, so they represent the same entity, semantic entity, like wife. And of course, the list is open for more representation, like amazoncă, like an Amazon woman, or maybe a thief woman, față, with suffixes like oancă, oață, and andă. But after, when we start to correct the lemma, we tried to establish some rules of correction of the lemma column. So the following have been maintained, like lady, domniță, count lady, court lady, or maybe balletistă, ballerina, so on. The following have been changed. We identified the root of the derived nouns, like we have widow, which was văduvioară, văduvă is the lemma. And we corrected some of those. In the third place, we had the diphthongization for mireasă. We have here the e, wife. Mireasă is like mireasă, miresă, mireasă. So then in this part of correction, we decided to crop some data. So we have the same semantic reality again. For Jewish, we have 3 forms in the novels. We discovered evreică, jidovită, jidancă, and we choose to use the evreică, the actual one, which is right now in the language. And also we corrected some typo errors from the column of lemma correction, the column of the lemma. So we have completed the list of occurrences for each label: occupation, status, role, and origin. Indefinite lemmas were extracted the words corresponding to the set label. So the words were extracted with all the occurrences like lemma, definite and indefinite form, genitive and dative forms. So we built up a vocabulary. We had a dictionary list with all the items from our dictionary extracted. Here it is. Then we have the occupation vocabulary with those items, status vocabulary, role vocabulary, origin vocabulary, and other vocabulary. Based on just the first item, so without the occurrences. Then we start to do some visualization with Python, with Matplotlib, and some testing with topic model and with Minimalist. So we created an experimental visualization of the basis of the first extractions, now with female agent suffixes and endings. So we did some distribution of the first 20 lemmas for each novel, and the first 20 lemmas written by women, men, and anonymous authors. So the visualizations help us to identify key points. So that's why we created a new set of visualization of the list containing words like governess and midwife. For occupation, we added those because we discovered that they're in the text. Daughter-in-law, wife, roles, we added those again, and lady and sovereign for status. Of course, we decided to merge some identical occupation form with agent suffixes under the same lemma, nouns similar for occupation. We have, for example, Maică, which is none, Călugăriță, none, as you see here, and we choose to put all those items under the same lemma, Maică, because they represent the same, they have the same semantic reality. And under the same lemma, we did the same for the suffix variations. We have cârciumăreasă, cârciumăriță for tavern keeper, and we choose to keep the first one. We also did some disambiguizations for mother, because we have the mother of God, which is a role, or my mother, or mother Minodora as non-Minodora, which is an occupation. The same disambiguization was made for maiden. We had other as girl versus role. So we have Virgin Mary or Holy Virgin as role and young maiden as other. So I will invite Tiberiu to present you the issues of coding right now.
Now is about technical part, issues of coding. I will talk about 4 challenges that we encountered. First one, correction of POS tagging, plural of neutral nouns erroneously tagged as feminine. The second one, automatic counting of absolute frequencies. The next one, minimal context retrieving for disambiguation. And the last one, visualizations. The first problem we encountered was the fact that in Romanian, neutral nouns have the plural with the feminine form, as Lucretia said. Here are some examples from UDPipe which were incorrectly annotated. How did we solve the problem? We tested whether the lemma of feminine plural nouns was of the feminine gender. For example, gifts has the lemma dar, gift. If the lemma was feminine, the noun was feminine. If it was masculine, we classified it as neuter. The second challenge we faced was extracting the context of each noun. What was the process of solving this challenge? The main problem was that our annotated data was stored in some XMLs, some tree structures. The Python libraries does not provide the function of getParent for the node where the current noun is located, around which we want to extract the context. So I created a child to parent mapping for the whole tree structure. We knew for each feminine noun its position in the tree. I used the child to parent mapping to get the parent of the node where the noun is located. Then, knowing the parent, I found out which are its children. As we can see in this slide, children are elements and the root element is the parent. I found out the position of my noun in the list of children and formed the context by taking the first 10 words before my noun and the next 10 words after my noun. The third challenge is automatic counting of frequencies. How did the process go here? The first step consisted in generating the Excel sheet that contains all the female nouns found. The second step consisted in filtering irrelevant data from Excel. And in the last step, the nouns were mapped using Python according to the number of occurrences of each noun, for example, in the novel, in the time periods in which the novels were written, or in the novels written by female or male unknown authors, and criteria like this. The next challenge was to generate visualizations using the extracted data. This was the fun part, starting from the fact that our nouns are mapped according to different criteria. We used charts from Python to build some visualizations that represents the data as well as possible. Okay, and the last challenge was stopping modeling and word clouds visualization. The process consisted in 2 steps. In the first step, I started from the corpus. I processed the corpus, analyzing each word using spaCy and taking only the nouns, adjectives, verbs, and adverbs. Then I removed the stop words and formed the dictionary from the remaining words. The dictionary has been processed to retain the most relevant words, thus found in at least 10 novels. And the second step and the last one, we used the novel corpus and the processed dictionary to train a Mallet model. Then Mallet does its magic and generated topics. Then from the topics, I took the main terms of the topic, and based on them, I generated word clouds using word clouds Python library.
Okay, so we will continue. Well, of course, we will see some visualization of a representation. So after we count the label as the absolute relative frequencies, we obtain those percents, like the role was like 45.1%, the status 50.5, and the occupation represented in our data 9.3% of the whole tokens from the dictionary that we created. So if you look a little bit at the first 20 occurrences from the most frequent lemma, so the absolute value, you will see that there is no job suited for a woman, and the first jobs which occur in our corpus is governess as occupation here. And the first, what can we tell right now is that women are more defined like from their role and status if we use the most frequent lemmas, like visualization from the whole list of lemmas. So the first entrance in the frequency, the first lemma which occurs is governess with 27, and here mother is like the first one. The first role that appears, then a daughter, girl, woman, wife, miss, again wife, sister, nun, and the disambiguation that I will tell you a couple of minutes later, about a couple of minutes. So Micah with occupation and role, again, girl, daughter, lady, miss, mrs, miss, and so on. And princess, like, is here the status with those occurrences. Of course, of the role, we try to represent the most frequent female representation, and here we did the test with topic modeling experiment on female author novels. So mother is grouped with other honorable representatives like woman, lady, and the wife is right here. And the mother actions are, the mother guides you, like Kalausi, watches you, and of course suspects you. But if we find an attribute for the mother, we see that she is very sensitive. Of course, the less frequent roles per time slots, we have here T1, T2, and T4. We don't have time period slot 3 because there is no first list frequent occurrences that appears in that, from our list, that appears in that period of time. So in time slot period 2, we have something like a widow here, or maybe I don't know how to translate this right now. Okay, here are the most, a little bit to break this down. So here are the most frequent female statuses that we try to translate into English. As you see, there are more like Miss, Mrs, and more Mrs and Mrs, because if you look into the this table, why there are only upper class status, we see that first of all, it's hard to translate all the status from Romanian into English. Most of them can be translated like Miss, again, Mrs, Miss, Juponeasa, again, Miss, Princess, Princess, Miss, Queen, Countess, Peasant. We see here that many of the occurrences are of upper class status. Maybe this was like a polite status was used for in the novels to reflect the way in which the woman was treated, but from this perspective. But we have two exceptions, like we have Zaranka, peasant, and Christian with 21 and 72 occurrences. Of course, we have here this graphic with the distribution of higher social status per time slots, and we see that the author preferred the most general high status for like Domnița, Miss, instead of Principessa. You see here that you have the period time with T1, T2, T3 and T4, and in as you see, Domnița is ascending in T3 and Principessa is going down. I will try to go faster in the presentation because there are many slides. We also test the distribution of a foreign status. We have governess here, not governess, but Contessa. Was also taken into account in T2, in time period slot 2. There are fewer, we have to think that there are fewer Romanian women writers than time period slot 3 and time period slot 4. Maybe why Countess appears in T2 between 1816 and 1880. Maybe it was an exotic sounding status related to the emergence of the consumer novel, or we don't know exactly. We have to look more into this distribution of the Countess. Of course, we have here the politeness graphic for synonyms and of misses. As you see, doamna, like ma'am or miss, is correlated with a large distribution of miss, which in the previous chart was going up, and now is correlated with this one, doamna. And we need to know dominance. That's of the status, the graphic for the status. This is the status variety least frequent, first appearance at least frequent status in time slots. So we have like Tsarina appears, the Tsarina of the Russia appears here in T4 once, or maybe we have Oroshanka, like the lady from the city, and also other occurrences. Of course, we tried here to do a word cloud for occupation, and as you see, none is in the center, with maid, nanny, witch, cook, and governess. So here is a distribution for Micah. We need to know if there was a contamination in the occupations, because we have this contamination in preot, preoteasă, priced, like priced and priced's wife, and also notarășiță from notary and notary wife, maybe, and where is this? And cârciumăreasă, cârciumăriță, like pub keeper and pub keeper's wife, and our statuses or occupation. We want to see, do they gradually become occupations? So maybe preoteasă, like the wife of the priest, or notarășiță, notary wife, are in the upper part of the list. So maybe the occupations were gradually going higher from this contamination. Here's another variety, the occupation variety in this time slot for the first appearance of least frequent occupation in time slot. So we have here ballerina in T2, we have here floressa, the floral lady, or maybe we have here inspector, or let's see, journalist, or maybe judge, like here, judecătoare. Of course, for origin, this is the cloud that we created, gypsies in the middle, and then the other origins for the woman from our collection. Țigancă, which is gypsy, has these occurrences, and 92 for German. And we wanted to see how they are looking to the graphic for men in the whole graphic and the whole corpus. So we have 140 tokens for gypsy, and as you see in time period slots, they are going up again into 4 and into 3, 4, and the same for Nemțaică. So we considered those two most relevant for our analysis right now. So we tried to do a comparison of gypsy between men and female authors in T4, because the corpus in this period is more balanced. We have 8 novels of females and 12 novels of men. And as you see, women authors use more references to gypsies than men authors. They are so if this is descending, this is going up. And for the origin, there are some prejudice related to foreigners. So the same comparison was made between men and female authors in time periods 4. And as you see, woman again goes up for German, yes, and men's goes out. The men's author tend to, so the results are those. We try to do some conventional representation of female characters. They are represented rather by role than by status, occupation, or origin. Status and occupation, they are too close proportions, so they should be further analyzed together. We have this diversification in the representation of women, which comes from the range of jobs. So occupation represents a third of our vocabulary, with 150 occurrences, and deeper insight on most frequent and least frequent jobs per female authors, per male authors, and also we can do some topic modeling activities or features associated with jobs or roles. So we need to do deeper analysis of prejudices related to the origin of female characters and further topic modelings for lemma with 100 counts for mama, fata, femeie, nevastă, doamnă, soție, like mother, girl, woman, wife, miss, and again wife, because those are the most for the 5 frequent 100 counts. So we tried to do a topic exploration of the longest novel in the RomanianELTec collection, authored by female author Sofia Nădejde with Patim, Passions. And in topic 7, we can see we have, let's take the topics rapidly. These are the last 2 slides. In topic 8, we have child. Yeah, they here child, a person topicalized. Topic 9, we have Mr. And topic 4, we have Mrs. with Damna. And there are also body parts which were used in topic models. In topic 6, we have inima, like heart, and keep face. And there are topics related to soul with words or work and newspaper. Topic 7 for newspaper, ziar. And topic 3 for words like vorba, lucru. Of course, we try to do a topic exploration of all 70 novels authored by female novelists included in ELTec Rom. And topic 1 and 2, we see that are a little bit vague because they have the name of the characters. But then topic 3 and 10 appears. We see that vorba, like words, yeah, appears twice as a topic. In topics 3 and 6, in the novel written by women. The most thematized feelings is love. The most thematized relationship is with doctor, right here, and child, here in topic 9. And the most thematized action is knowing, the verb to know, a cunoaște, where a cunoaște. It was somewhere here. To know, to ști, a știe. To know. And the most thematized body part is the head, like cat here with Mr. and power. So this was our presentation. Thank you for your attention. And if there are any questions, we are open to answer them.
Thank you very much, Lucretia and Tiberiu. This has been really a very rich presentation. I think that we learn a lot about your work, perhaps not so much about the ELTec, so perhaps you could explain later about this time slots and how it is built. But perhaps there are other questions, and then you can answer everything together. So now I would like to open, of course, the discussion, and if there are any questions already, just ask them. And perhaps perhaps you don't want to share your screen anymore, so that
okay, I will stop the share.
Yeah, okay.
I would just like to start by congratulating this wonderful organization, especially Katia and Amelia, for us all. And it was wonderful to understand the approach, so understandable in a simple way, for us to be inspired to follow all your insights and all the information you presented as simple, but those who worked with databases since the Women Writers in History know that it's just a huge work. And thank you once again for the presentation and for the organizers.
Okay, so I can explain the time slots if there are any questions. We explain a little bit about ELTec if there was a little bit of misunderstanding. So ELTec is, as you know, is a multilingual collection, data collection, and one of the main outputs of the cost action listed reading for European literary history. It has so for the construction of the ELTec collection. There was established some criteria for authorship, length, time slot, and frequency. So between frequent and reprint count. So the authorship, there were like for female and male, to be a collection to be more equilibrate. The collection to be more balanced. There were like less, like 10% to be women writers. There should be 3 titles of one author and 1 title of the other. So there were some percentage for the authorship. The length, there were like short, medium, and long. Under words, the long was like 100 words and the medium under 100. And the time slots, they were categorized for time slots. So there were the first time slot is between 1840, 1860, 1869, 1860, 1879, 1880, 1899, and 90 and 1920. So this is the time slot. And we try to follow the occurrences of women's occupation roles and origin by those time slots and the author, like they are categorized as male, female, and unknown. In a short way of saying, those are the criteria. So if there are any questions.
Yes, I have a question. So congratulations, yes, of course, because it was a really an overview and very interesting and very well presented overview. So thinking on the publication one day, I think there are 3 main points. So the first point is the presentation of ELTec and the strength of the ELTec project, so the advantages of the efforts and the challenges, and why not the failures. Second point in your presentation for the publication, very, very important, the steps of the workflow, because you design very, very well the different steps, and it is, well, a treasure. Just to know how to do and to present how to do. And of course, the third point is the outputs you have presented very, very, very well. So this is for thinking on the publication. And I have one technical question and another one, a very general one. So for technical question, if I understood correctly, you used Python and Spacie, and so no internal tool of ELTec, but this is my first question. And the second one deals with these categories of origin, presence of gypsy, as it is so important as a marked term in a very deterministic way. So from the beginning, I didn't understand the origin, German origin, Gypsy origin, because some character can be Gypsy and German, why not? Or a kind of mixed. So I didn't understand very well the meaning of origin, to be honest. And this is it. Thank you. It was
Okay,
great.
so because before I will let Tiberiu explain the technical questions, I would like to say that there is no tool for Romanian. So this was the first, let's say, challenge for us, and that's why we choose to use Python, and Tiberiu tried to use different instruments and train models like topic modeling with Mallet. That's why we choose to do this in Python, because there are no instruments for Romanian language. In NLPed, they are trying to do something right now, but we are working with what we have. And he can explain to you, yes, and for this part of technical question, we did all our visualizations, right, Tiberiu, with Python?
Yeah, with Python only, with Matplotlib library.
Yeah, that is the only library that we used. And for the
Sorry, could you repeat the name of the library? I didn't understand.
Matplotlib.
Okay.
I leave it in chat.
That's the only library that we used, and the Mallet, of course, because it's used for topic modeling, from what we know. And for the gypsies, yes, so we defined origin like the category that indicates the social and the cultural background of a woman, and we only use the data. We didn't go into the text of reading him. We used those contexts that were extracted to disambiguations like Micah, the nun problem. But for Gypsy, Jewish, and German, maybe the Gypsy is so occurrent and has many occurrences in our corpus because she is like the foreign woman. Yeah, it's the woman that comes from nowhere. And maybe that's an explanation for the occurrences of Gypsy. But German is interesting, that German, from what we know from the corpus, because we did because I work at this ELTec, I know some novels. German is almost associated with governess, like in this perspective, she is associated with this job. So maybe this would be another way of looking into the origin, like the thematic, the occupation that she has. Oh, and of course, origin was at the beginning named as ethnicity. We tried to use it as ethnicity, but we had a problem with the women from, let's say, regions of Romania. Like, how do we call Moldoveanka, the one from Moldavia? And that's why we chose to name the category origin, because we wanted to introduce those women also in the
okay.
data.
This is the kind of things you should explain for the publication, because there are big challenges
Yes,
in the ethical and political, of course, layer. So to be explained, to be developed, and then to be explained. Thank you.
Yeah, we will take it into account. Thank you so much for the question.
Any other questions? Perhaps I have one. If I compare it with the Slovenian language, we also have these feminine suffixes, but they are often also use these nouns, not just like an occupation for a woman, but this is actually the occupation of her husband. Yeah, so how did you deal with this?
So we choose to put woman in occupation because, as I explained you in the slide with price and woman, white price, we thought that the wife of the price has more occupation in the cultural, in her area. It's like she's not just the wife of the price, she also does some things there. So like take care of the peasants, or maybe take care of the Christians and collaborate with them. She has some occupations there, and that's why we choose to put those nouns, those nouns in the category of occupation. on this association with his wife, with the husband's occupation. So for notary wife is more clearly because they are in the top list, the prized wife and the young keeper, yeah. Barkeeper, it's the same. That's most like for the contamination between male and female occupation. That's why we choose to put them in this category.
And the origin of the governess is mostly German or also French? Because if I compare it to Slovenian, of course, in Slovenia it is German, but also French, very often French. So
it was surprising to us to see that French was we didn't have so many occurrences of French in comparison with German. Like we had 92 entries for German and 40, or no, like 1 and 4. I forgot the number now. For French, it was a little bit surprising for us because we know that Romanian culture was under the French one. So
exactly. And English or no English?
English, we have like 4 occurrences.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, I have one other question about your manual task, because because if I understood correctly, once again, you spent a lot of time to correct typos, for example, and so if you have to give us a percentage of manual time spent to curate data, curate text before treating with Python. How much time? What percentage in this manual curation? Tell the truth, please.
Okay, so I don't know how to approximate this, but the only thing I can say that 2 days ago and last day when I worked with Tiberiu for visualization, we find some errors. So it was a hard job and a hard how to say, and yeah, it was a hard job to do this.
Sorry, Lucretia, because you found typos errors even after publication of this.
There are some errors, but in the words that we look into. So we should take into account that maybe ELTec, I don't want to say this, but because the Romanian language was of the ELTec collection was also cleaned manually in Romanian. So because we have variations on language, we have the transliterate, like we have at the beginning used Cyrillic alphabet, then in the T1, then we have this alphabet between Latin and Cyrillic, the transitional alphabet, and that's why maybe there are some errors in typos because the whole corpus was cleaned up manually.
Yeah, but because this is the problem. When you begin to make a visualization, you discover new typos errors, and you say, no, once again.
And also errors made by us when we try to tag them. So there were some when we corrected the lemma, because we have a big number of lemmas for this visualization.
Yeah, so a very time-consuming task in this kind of project. I think we should highlight this point in research term in our agendas, because it is beautiful to see your visualizations and the outputs and the work, the task, the time you spent to do that. It is really incredible. So we should highlight it and to congratulate you and to take it into account, because it is a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Tiberiu did the whole thing with the magic, how I told him, you do magic here. So he was the one who did the visualization and the work in the back. I helped him with lemmas and also the interpretation of the end. And also Roxana Patraș helped us with some of the with some directions here and there, and we are grateful for her help.
I have a question for Tiberiu. How is it to work with a humanist? Like, you know, like an IT person to work with a humanist.
But at the beginning, I think is a little bit hard because I'm from a different field of
Mhm. But then it went well, as we can see from your presentation.
No, he's a great man at the buttons. I told you he's a magician with all this work.
Hmm.
But you can stay more. There's no problem. You can say more.
How big is your laboratory? How many persons are there?
We have a small lab, but it's at the beginning. Maybe like 5, 7, but we are also in the same projects like Poplight for this time. Maybe 6 or 7 in this way, yeah, 6 or 7.
And these are also developers included, or just?
No, Tiberiu is the only one who helped us. So he is the magician in the IT field. The rest of us are humanists, like in philology.
And then you collaborate with developers from the other, I don't know, departments, or you code yourself, or how is it?
When I started to work at ELTec, and after we finished ELTec, I understood that we need to learn some Python, and I tried to learn Python, and I did Python. I taught children from 10 to 12 years, but basic Python, not what Tiberiu did. So so that's what I learned, Python, and what else? A little bit of Stilo R, I know. So yeah, we try to learn by ourselves, let's say, and try to take the work from Tiberiu. He's our teacher sometimes, so we ask him what we do here.
To help.
Yes, he came to help us.
Wonderful.
Okay, Lucretia, and the rest of the members of the laboratory have any digital skills, or
Yes,
are
they have.
humanists? Yes, they
Yeah,
have.
they are humanists. They also work on the digital, they work on the ELTec collection, Hyro, the other project about I can put you the links in the chat if you want to see the project.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So to see the projects, we have the Poplight, which is now a work in progress. And I will put all the links inside, and most of us are, so Hyro had many volunteers, ELTec had many volunteers, and Poplight and Hyro have their own, they also have some, let me see, where should I put this? Zoom, a little bit I don't know how to use this. Yep.
And when you say, Lucretia, volunteers, you mean scholars,
Students.
or like citizen science?
No, students from philology. Yeah, students.
Okay.
Students. I will put the link here for Poplight and also for Hyro. Hyro was a bilateral project with France. Now we have 2 links for Hyro and Poplight. Here are those. You can look at them. And yeah, this is. And all of the members are the PhD students, professors, researchers. Yeah, like Ms. Patrash is the main researcher in the projects. She coordinated them. So both Poplight, she's the and the Hyro. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? We have 3 minutes still. Okay, we have one question from Viola in the chat. So let me see. I will read this. Sorry to go back to the question of origins and gypsy. Could you please explain this usage of the word? I have been researching myself the use of the word in various languages, and sorry, I cannot see the word. A most complex issue with different meanings in history, present literary context, the way the various groups refer to themselves, differing from one language to another.
Okay, so from what I know in Romanian literature and history, let's say gypsies were maybe at the beginning of the 18th century were slaves, or not also slaves. Slaves is a big word. How should I explain this? They were working at higher class, or working as servants, as at let's say higher class families, like maybe boyar, yes, and or they were how can I explain this? It's complication. I don't know how to explain it clearly right now. Also, we can say that, as I said at the beginning, she was, we can consider her as the foreign woman, yeah, if we call it about, and she's coming from different backgrounds. Maybe the term in some novels is used in this, with this meaning as the foreign woman, outside of the, let's say, outside of the Romanian, or maybe in this way. It's complex, as you said. There are many meanings in history, present, and literary context, and we should use a close reading to understand the novels if they're used in this way or not, because we work just with the data at this point. I hope it's clear.
Perhaps it is a point to develop, to be developed for the publication.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Amelia, would you like to have a conclusion speech? Because I started, now you can conclude our session.
It's time to wrap up. So thank you very much to all of us, to all of you, because it is, well, we made an effort to organize everything, but we have received a very good feedback from people, and we are preparing the agenda for the next year, because all this year is 20 people. So we are preparing sessions for next February and next March. So I think it is a very good way to keep in contact and to maintain a community and to add people to our community. So I'm adding people to our new list more or less every week. So we are more than 200 people in new list. So I think it is a very good idea. And while, to be honest, yes, a publication at the end of tell us 2 years. I think after next year we could have enough material for a publication in the Brill collection. This is a very important, not only for our careers, yes, yeah, because it is required by all our institutions, and not only for this institutional reasons, but rather for highlighting the women contribution of to our society and to our European history. So very important, every step by step for publication and for highlighting women contributions. So thank you, Lucretia. Thank you, Roxana. Thank you, Tiberiu. It is a historical moment. You opened the webinar series. Thank you very much for trusting us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And see you in 1 month on 25th of May. I think we have our next webinar.
Yeah.
Same time, same link. So we hope to see you all again.
Okay.
Thank you all. Now I'm I'm free again. I can speak. Thank you for having us. It is a great pleasure and honor to start to kick off this series of seminars, and I congratulate warm-heartedly my students for delivering this wonderful talk. And I'm looking forward to the next talk in this series.
Of course. Of course. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.